coolest but unexpected side effects of having a hot wife is what people think about you. It's like, oh, he must be really funny, or he must be artistic or super cool, or he must have a really big bank account. But they never wonder, maybe she's really weird. One of
Oh,
All right. Welcome to Social Distillation, the submarine still of the internet, where we attempt to drop the beat and pour white lightning straight out of your brain. What are we talking about today, Samo?
well, we're gonna get more serious, but that was a good, funny opening. And it's actually true because it, it makes it sometimes what you have on your arm is a status symbol, right? And you want smart, beautiful, all of these things, but sometimes it comes a little crazy. And so we're going to talk some intrasexual competition. We're going to talk relationship dynamics where it becomes either a power struggle or can be
Mhm.
successful. We're going to bring up some of James Sexton work. Hopefully, you benefit from this because I think we have personally. So,
Yeah. I so I this is all still for me kind of still under the rubric of the double standard where it is perfectly acceptable to criticize men, boys, young men, but not women. Not
mm,
girls, not no, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is self-destructive. What you're doing is harmful to yourself. Much like the body positivity movement is, but no, it's what you don't have to hate yourself, but also you're not healthy. Literally, here is the data. How much data do you want that is not healthy? And as we said, you know, after the Super Bowl, when I triggered you about the GLP-1s is, oh, look, now we have a magic shot that big pharma can make money off of, and all of a sudden, poof, it goes away. I,
mhm.
I wonder what the poof moment will be for the double standard,
Yeah,
but
and kudos to you for being ahead of that because that became a trend online of talking about that. And
that it just it made me laugh because of all this nonsense. I do think there are some people shifting because people like Hillary Lane and she's primarily talking about stories, but also the forget her name, the young British woman who we watched a clip of. She does similar content of, yeah, these are fictional
how, Laura,
stories.
how?
No, 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 not the psychologist. The
Oh,
clip we watched about how cheating is romantic now.
oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Marina McBain, I think was her name. Um, and, and her point was that her and Hillary Lane both their points like the male media critics we watch are, yeah, these are just stories, but I mean that's why we keep talking about Wheel of Time. Somehow we somehow wrap it back into everything we talk about is these are these are what train your brain. So
Hmm.
are you training your brain in a healthy way, or are you training your brain with junk food, with
Hmm.
intellectual and psychological junk food? And you brought up Laura Howe. She is one of the growing louder voices on the intellectual side saying, women, we have a problem of in much the same way that there was a growing crisis of boys that led to a crisis of men and masculinity. We have a problem of femininity where we will not criticize, we will not be self-critical, we are not allowed to critique each other, men definitely aren't allowed to critique us, but we're still supposed to get everything we want.
Well, and a glaring example of this is our prison system. It is what, 95% male?
Thereabouts,
Be
yep.
because we punish bad behavior for one thing, but there's bad behavior on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't punish it. And if you don't punish something, or if you positively reinforce it, which is the other part of it, you go, girl. If you positively reinforce it, then you're going to get more of that bad behavior. What is this? There's a new song now that I have one client that I play a pop station for because I give them the choice, and it's feminine phenomenon, like phenomenon, but with feminine in it. And it's
Oh
like,
dear.
and one of the lyrics in the verse is "be a bitch," and it's like, no, don't be a bitch. Be a good partner. How about that? We're going to play another clip by
Mm-hmm.
a divorce lawyer here in a minute that really brings that home. But no, you know what? Sometimes you get bitchy. but don't be a bitch. Just in the exact same way that sometimes I get angry, but I'm not going to punch you in the face. It's the same thing.
So I had some more thoughts. The one of the reasons I wanted to play that little reel that my wife sent me um is several weeks ago we were at a wedding, and her former boss had just gotten engaged, and so he was there with his fiance, and the girls were talking and they wanted to know all the things, and I had to laugh, and I interjected, all right, so she was talking about their first meetup, the first time they met up, and they walked and talked. They just talked for hours, and it was, it felt so, natural, and it was great, and everything was wonderful. And I laughed. I said, "Okay, yeah, dude, but what did you think?" Because it reminded me of the first time I had dinner with my wife, and in the moment, everything felt natural, and I was just acting and reacting. I wasn't thinking. But then after the fact, that's when the thinking starts. And I thought, well, that was a disaster. I'm never going to see her again. Next day, she calls me. I
Hmm.
don't know why. Maybe she's just weird. Okay. And this is one of the huge problems. I brought this up, and I saw it the other day again when I was watching the Dallas Stars playoff game. One of my wife's friends got me into hockey, and so now I have something else to yell at. Uh,
You're gonna
the
get along with my girlfriend then. She loves
okay,
hockey. Yeah.
so the Miller Lite commercial with Christopher Walken, and the
Yes.
dude's sitting at
Yes.
there at the bar swiping left and right, and he catches the eye of a young lady down the other end of the bar who's chatting with her friends, and Walken's like, "Get off your phone, stop swiping, go say hi." And he, gives him two beers and says, go give her one, go say hi, strike up a real conversation. And it, if you don't give yourself that opportunity, you never know what you're going to find.
Hmm.
Because one of the many problems with the online dating, the app system, is there is absolutely no room for the quirks.
Hmm.
It's, yeah, she might be weird, or
Or even the chemical moment where,
yeah,
I mean, they say love at first sight, right? The girl I'm dating now, I saw her all the way across a club, and I don't approach girls in clubs because I hate that scene. I just go there because that's what my boys do, you
mhm.
know? And I said, you know what? Yes. And I just walked over there and got her number. And then it was like you said, uh, she just probably gave me a fake number or whatever, you know? And then the next time I walked in to another club where she was at, because she asked me to go there, and I just looked at her and she shrunk into the seat. And it was like, oh, wait, there is something to this. And that's chemical. That is a thing that happens in your brain. And I don't want to ruin the magic for everybody, but there are things that happen in your brain. And if they happen to two people at the same time, that's what we call love at first sight.
Just because we kind of know what the chemical signals are doesn't make it less magical.
Yeah.
I mean, you still feel what you feel, you know?
PEA, phosphoethylalanine. Okay, there you go. It doesn't ruin the magic because I'm like, give me some of that. That's heroin. Okay, give me some of that.
The the other problem with the swiping culture is you you are creating your you're creating expectations for yourself. You are looking at someone and saying they need to fit in this box. No one is ever going to fit in your box. There are too many
I mean,
variables.
you
There's too
might
much
fit in her
uniqueness.
box.
Hey, uh,
Did I just
it,
get us canceled?
yeah, probably. But
I mean, if you
it,
don't fit in the box, good for you.
hey, um, no one is ever going to fit your expectations of them because they're your expectations,
Hmm.
and you don't get that. I don't
Well,
watch them very
and
often. Yeah,
that's a very important point. I don't want you to move past it yet, uh, because if you did, you would get bored very quickly. If you have this idea and it's something you've already pre-planned, and that's what the person has to be, they are no longer a unique individual. They are. This is where hookup culture went wrong. With pickup culture, excuse me, pickup culture went wrong. Is they were playing a part,
Mhm.
and when playing the part became their identity, they became this predictable thing that, yeah, got the first line in, but was not a partner because you have to be your unique individual. That's why I gave the advice, 100 episodes ago. If you got something quirky about you, lean into it because you'll find the right partner.
So I just happened to see. I'm not even subscribed to him, but it just popped up recommending. I was like, well, this looks interesting. And Matt Walsh's videos are usually only like 30 minutes long. I was like, well, let me give this a go. And he last week or the week before, he had a really good video on dating apps. And I didn't know this because I don't listen to it that regularly, but uh he met his wife online. I don't know how many people remember eHarmony
Hmm.
was one of the first really big dating websites. And that was his big point is when the websites became apps, they became incredibly corrupted because of the incentive structure for the apps to make money. The apps don't want you to find a match. If you find a match, then you stop using the app.
Hmm.
And I didn't know this. This was interesting to me as well. And then I'll go back to eHarmony because there's something interesting important there is most of these apps are now under one umbrella. They're owned by the same company. And for a while, the CEO of that company had come over from, I believe it's Zynga, which is the company that makes those cheap, repetitive, annoying games like Candy Crush.
Mm.
The entire point of those games are to basically be a slot machine,
Yeah,
to
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
turn your
yeah.
brain to switch your brain the same way it does with the one-armed bandits who just keep feeding nickels into the slot machine is be repetitive, hook your brain so
And
you don't get off,
give you just enough success to keep you going.
to keep you going and to entice you to actually spend money on the app.
There's a reason casinos hired BF Skinner
Mm-hmm.
because he was the guy who got rats to pull levers. And
So
yeah.
that is what these things are. They are no different than these essentially slot machine, you know, app games. And
Well,
contrast that.
yeah, yeah.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to let you go with your thought because there's two ways it works out. There's the way that is the slot machine, which you get a little success every once in a while, but then there's the other, which is the people that are hyper successful on those apps. And then they become just completely narcissistic because they get everything they want and they're miserable.
Yeah, it's you just happen to hit the jackpot on your first pull, and now you think you're a gambling god.
Mhm.
No, that's you got lucky, man. You just everything just happened to go the right way for you. And okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, eHarmony's claim to fame was it was founded by a psychologist, PhD psychologist who focused on relationships and couples counseling, and that was his field of expertise. And so he came up with this ludicrously huge questionnaire. It's you didn't just get on eHarmony and start scrolling through profiles. You answered close to 300 questions,
Mhm.
and then they would use those to match you up with people. The idea being, we are going to give you the highest probability of success. The problem was they fell into the same trap eventually that the apps did, which is they were a subscription based service. Well, now you're incentivized not to create a match because then they go away. So now something interesting I didn't know that Walsh talked about is OKCupid, which I had heard of, but I didn't know the history of it. And OKCupid was basically mini eHarmony. The
Mhm.
questionnaire wasn't quite as big. They weren't quite as technical and intellectual, but it was the same idea. And for a very long time, OKCupid's CEO would make blog posts, regular blog posts, and in a lot of those, he was roasting the competition because the competition was subscription or fee based, or pay to unlock more whatevers, and OkCupid was, we will always and only ever be advertising based, otherwise we incentivize ourselves not to help you find a match. And then they got bought out by the other guys, and they're part
Hmm.
of, I
Yeah,
think, the
well,
same people that
okay,
own Hinge.
yeah, okay, Cupid kind of hacked the system for a little bit too, because you talked about if you find a match, it's over, right? You're not a subscriber anymore. They went in the poly route too. So, I mean, you can have a match and try to find other matches. So they got that extra boost from doing that. Sorry if I
Once
derailed you there, but that was the big thing that was different about that app versus others.
the idea should have been of where this could have been, much like my rant about how targeted advertising should be great. We should all love it. We should all be cool. You're collecting my information and giving me targeted ads. That should make things more efficient and cheaper, but it's not, because it's not trying to help the consumer and the provider meet up and engage in a transaction. It's trying to manipulate
Hmm.
both sides. The Google ads is trying to manipulate both sides to maximize their profits, not to actually create a match for a fruitful transaction. The
Hmm.
analogy holds is, this should be great, because this should be a way that people who don't have great social skills or don't have the time, you know, when you're in high school, when you're in college, it's easy to meet other people because you're constantly around other people, and you generally have more free time than you do as an adult with all the adult responsibilities. So let's take that
Well,
out of the
or
equation
even
and
if
get
you're
people
just
to meet.
personality wise introverted
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for you to go out and approach somebody, it gives you that avenue.
So let's help with that part. But then the idea still was supposed to be meet up. That's not happening anymore because the system has become completely corrupted,
Hmm.
but it's also being used by people who are often kind of broken.
Yeah, well, and also there's another layer to it too is choice is been studied. If you
Mm.
have so many choices, you are unhappy. So there is an optimal number and too few choices. Like back in the day when we had poor and rich, right? If you had too few choices, you were unhappy. But if you have too many choices, you're also unhappy because you're never happy. The optimal number is somewhere around six, I think. Well, go get on Hinge. I don't have it on my phone, but I'm tempted to download it real quick just to see how many choices I get in the first 5 minutes, right? You have hundreds of choices. Yeah, you're never going to be happy with the choice you made because another one's going to pop up. It's like going to the restaurant that has this massive menu and you order something and then you see the person at the next table get something and you're like, "Ooh, that's good. That's what I should have got." And now you're unhappy with your choice, even though it was probably perfectly delicious.
And I think part of the things that feeds this is, I don't remember what triggered this, where I kind of went off on a rant on my wife because we were watching something, and I went off on a rant of, okay, no, here's the problem is, so you brought up pickup culture and the pickup artists earlier, and what they were selling was this lie, this false hope that anyone can do this. Anyone can be the Giga Chad who goes in there
Just follow the
and
script. Yep.
just follow the script, and he gets the girl every time. He never goes home alone. That's not true. So, and on the female side, they're swiping because, I mean, if guys can hoe it up, why can't girls hoe it up? Okay, well, there's a lot of moral and ethical reasons, but there's also a lot of chemical reasons why. Is
Hmm.
there is a chemical reason why it is really easy for girls to catch feelings after sleeping with someone several times, whereas with a guy, he's got to catch feelings first, and then the sleeping with makes it stronger.
Hmm.
So one of the fallacies of this idea of, well, if guys can do it, why can't we? Guys aren't doing it. That's what you don't understand. It is, as we're seeing, as we've talked about the last several weeks with Dr. Deborah So's work, and what she's pointing out is there's a very small percentage of men who have the ability to do that, the ability to sleep around if they are so inclined. And she made this point to the interviewer in the Free Press interview is, look, you and I, if we were so inclined, we could go out right now, ask any random guy, hey, you want to have sex? 99 times out of 100, they're going to say yes.
Okay, yeah, so that's an important point because again, I'll go back to like male jealousy and stuff, right? So the old the sextonism, which is uh tradition is peer pressure by dead people. Yeah, there are good and bad things about tradition. Sometimes we do things just because we've always done it that way. And we have to take into account things like birth control, right? Body count doesn't matter as much with the fact that we have birth control. But we have 100,000 years of evolution where males will mate guard. And if you've got a high body count, it's not surprising that any guy you date is going to have trouble trusting you. I mean, that's the damage is done already.
Mhm.
Damage is done because you're going to be going out on your girls' night and he's going to be sitting there twiddling his thumbs going, wow, well, maybe because she can walk into a room and just like I told you the story of how I met the person I met, someone's going to look across the room and go, awesome. Especially if they're very attractive or all this stuff. And we don't do, as guys, we don't do the dad bod thing where we pick a girl that makes us comfortable. We pick the girl that makes us feel amazing.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you know what? That wonderful 10 out of 10 girl is on my arm. She's funny, she's smart, she's beautiful, all of that. That makes you uncomfortable when they go out because somebody else is going to say, oh, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's funny, she's all these things. And we're the ones that approach, theoretically, mostly. We're supposed to, anyways. And hey, I'm a pretty good catch, but I'm not getting a 7. There's an 8 out there that might approach my girl, right? A 9 that might approach my girl. And you know that. And so you have to behave in a way that makes your man comfortable. And having a giant body count is not the way to do it.
So that's the before, and then the after. This leads into the Sexton clip you wanted to play, which is he's basically addressing something you brought up before, which is that clip from a British TV show where the wife finds out that the husband has been cheating on her, and she goes off. She's kind of hysterical. She's yelling at him of, is she younger than me? Is she prettier than me? And he just finally says, she doesn't belittle me. She doesn't make
Mhm.
me feel like this. That's
Mhm.
ultimately what it is.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the clip that we had queued up here. All right, so this is James Sexton. His book behind me is How to Stay in Love.
How do you stay like madly in love with somebody, excited about them? Like you've been together for 10 years. Like, okay, I have a dog who's 13 years old. I have never once come home and looked at that dog and went, I gotta get a puppy. Like this dog, I have 13 years. Like how many years am I supposed to pet this dog? Like I want to get
This analogy.
cool young dog who's like fun and I can play ball with. Like that's my dog. Like I love that dog. Like I love that dog more every day. Every TV show, the wife is rolling her eyes at the husband, like, oh, this idiot I'm married to. And the guy is like, oh, there's the most loathsome harpy ever to castrate a man, and she's not sleeping with him anymore. And this is acceptable behavior. And that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, this should be your primary relationship. This should be your biggest cheerleader. This should be the person that you're rooting for. Like, this should be the way, like, love your spouse a quarter of as much as you love your dog. Try that. They'll say, like, well, yeah, but how do you
Yeah, it's crazy because I love him because he represents both males and females. He represents whoever comes in his office, right? And he's just like, why are we fighting like this? Why what's the standard we should have? It's so low. It's so low to keep this right.
So, couple of things popped into my head when I watched that is, uh, first of all, someone that I've listened to a bit. I don't know what her background is. I know she's an author. Her name is Allison Armstrong, and she talks about this male-female dynamic and this relationships. And um, one of the things that was kind of she back in the 90s where she kind of had her transformation is seeing the way so many women, especially in academia, treated men and got glee out of hurting them.
Hmm.
And so she said she used to use the term he used, castrate, and then she went away from that and started saying emasculate. Castrate sounds stronger, it's more evocative, um because of the imagery there. But she said the problem with the term is you can only castrate a man once. You can emasculate him, you can metaphorically castrate him multiple times a day, and there are
Hmm.
many women who do.
Hmm.
And this is she's kind of, you know, she's a little older, kind of like, I think even a little older than Laura Howe, but they're both kind of in that older matriarch role, looking back saying, young ladies, this is not how you treat a guy if you want a good guy and you want him to stay.
Yeah, okay. So you touched on a very important thing because I've talked about this with many, many, many females is how do you treat a guy and how do you treat a good guy?
Hmm.
They say where the good guys at? Where are the good guys at? Well, they're being treated well by somebody because they're not going to take your bullshit
Mm-hmm.
if you're feminine phenomenon or whatever, right? If you're being a bitch, if you're celebrating, hey, 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 I punched him in the face, right? And he didn't do nothing back. Yeah, he didn't do nothing back, but he also left you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you did this behavior that, and you're like, why am I side chick? Well, that's why you're side chick because you do this thing. You're not gonna get the guy. I'm sorry. It's just the good guy is too smart for that.
This is where the double standard is so frustrating is, as I mentioned, I think last time, is even though they were being told wrong because they were being told that basically all masculinity is toxic, at least boys were being trained that you're not perfect just the way you are.
Mm,
You need to change. You need to be different. You need to be better. You need to better yourself. Now, very often, how they were being told to better themselves was 180 degrees wrong, but at least they had the mindset, which is why I think the red pill slash manosphere movement became a thing, is because they at least had the mindset that change is necessary, change is good, self-improvement is not a dirty word. But then they hit a wall, kind of like how pickup artist culture led to incel culture, which I still find strange. It's very paradoxical because once you think it through and hear it explained out, it's, oh well, actually no, that makes perfect sense. But the first time I heard that on a Modern Wisdom episode when Chris Williams said it in passing, and I was like, wait, what? I had never heard this before. Um, but
Actually, great work if you're on X. Anybody that's in the audience, William Costello.
mm,
He is the number one probably in the world on incel research, and he's very compassionate towards that crowd.
well, so you have the incel on the male side, and you have the bitter, lonely woman on the female side.
The cat lady, yeah.
Both of them come about because we are being fed a pile of lies about who we are as human beings, who we are as male and female.
Mm.
And and I mean, you've talked about this ad nauseum, especially when we talk relationships in Wheel of Time, is just the idea of a battle of the sexes, we've already failed.
Yep.
It no, it's like what I said a while ago, and I reiterated it. I don't remember why. I was talking with the youngins uh, from my wife's work of it's been over a decade since me and my wife have had a fight. We still argue, we still disagree, sometimes rather vigorously. But in a fight, someone's trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to win. You are trying to defeat your opponent. You shouldn't be trying to defeat your spouse, your partner. That was basically Sexton's point is
You should be trying to come to an agreement.
why are you trying to
Yeah.
beat down? Why are you don't beat down your dog this way? Why are you trying to do this to the person who is presumably your soulmate, your partner, the person that you are trying to navigate this messy thing called life with?
Well, not only that, you're sacrificing future happiness too.
Mhm.
Because if you're trying to navigate this mud that we call life with somebody and you beat them down, are they going to be there for you 5 years from now? Are they going to be there for you 8 years from now? No, they're going to be beaten down. And that's no way to live. I'm sorry. It's just no way to live. Okay, so I'm going to make a sexual reference. I'm going to go ahead and take us there. Do you want the starfish? And if you don't know what the starfish
I was
is,
about to say, yeah, you should explain that.
I'll have to explain it. That is the girl that says, "Okay, we'll have sex," but she just lays back with her arms out. That's the starfish.
Lay
Guys,
back
do
and
you
think of
really want the
English.
starfish? You don't want the starfish.
No.
But the starfish is a person who's just basically doing it just to get along. And if you beat your partner down, they're gonna just do whatever to get along.
Mhm.
And no,
So
nobody wants that. No, I mean,
this
I don't want that. I know that, but
this leads me to a point I wanted to come back to that I haven't brought up in a while. That I wanted to talk about in the context of relationships, healthy relationships, but also this double standard, because this is something Laura Howe talks about a lot, which is women expect their man to check all these boxes and then, okay, maybe we'll have sex unless something goes wrong and now I'm not in the mood anymore.
hmm.
And when a man, so when a woman says, I need you to be present, I need you to demonstrate that show don't tell that you love me by doing all these things. Well, yeah, you go, girl. You should let him know what your needs are and how to fulfill them. But then when a guy, this is why, I really like Laura House shorts, because like you said, she's a little hard to watch. She's kind of dry in the longer form, but she has some really good shorts where she gets right to the point of, but then when a guy says, this is what I need, and what he needs is physical intimacy, that's when the eye rolling starts.
Yeah, well, I'll even take it further than that. Anytime he says, I need X, it's not just physical intimacy. It's, oh, well, now you're being demanding. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the word she
y-
uses a lot is,
yeah.
and I think it's because for women, maybe you'll disagree, but I really think this is true. Now, you're going to have variances, you know.
Overlapping bell curves, etc.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. So has talked about this in interviews I've heard before is, oh, you must be a wildcat. Is actually, no, I'm very boring and vanilla. Just because I intellectually know all these things about sex doesn't mean I'm some, sex crazed wild person. Is she says I'm very boring and vanilla. Is so some women have lower libidos, some have higher libidos, but I think it's fair to say, even a woman with a really high libido, she doesn't need sex. She
Mm-mm.
really, really wants it.
Hmm.
And it is very beneficial to her. She, can get a lot of, you know, psychological fulfillment from it, from the right
If
in the
there's
right
any women in the
circumstances.
audience, what you can get away with in your relationship when you're doing that is everything.
But
Yeah.
I think for women, and I think something that kind of got me down this train of thought is you said a long time ago that women are built to be grandmothers. Men are
And
built
men
to
are
be husbands and fathers.
husbands and fathers. Yep. Yep.
Well, I think that is a good kind of proof of concept of what I'm saying here, which is that once they reach a certain point, if they don't have sex, they fill that void with something else.
Yeah.
They fill that
Alcohol,
void with children
drugs.
and great.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Whatever.
women
Oh,
fill it
women.
with,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, women fill that void with children, grandchildren, girlfriend group, whatever, and they can get that fulfillment elsewhere. Men can't.
Mm-hmm.
You brought it up because you thought I was talking about men. If when men become sexless, that's where the drugs, the alcohol, the porn addiction, all of these things, as Williams had said when he was talking to Dr. So, is the sedation starts.
Mm-hmm.
You start self sedating so that you
You
don't have to
either
feel
start
it.
self-sedating or you go somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just the way it is. Yeah.
It is. I really don't think women understand because they don't need sex. Even if it's a woman with a high libido who really wants it and really likes it, she doesn't really need it because she is capable of filling that you know mental psychological need elsewhere. We are not. When we say we need it, we mean we need it. It is part of our makeup to have fulfillment. And it's not always sex. That's why I used the term earlier, physical intimacy, because
Mhm.
ultimately, yes, you're hoping for, you want, you really like, but it also can help, you know, boost that your psychological mental health if you just have that, sitting on the couch, sitting in bed, watching with your girl all cuddled up, enjoying that
Mhm.
quality time with just the two of you, and you have that physical contact.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is necessary.
yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do get the opportunity, yesterday I got the opportunity to lay down with a partner and watch some TV, and her head on my chest was all I needed. That was it. That was it. Now,
Mm.
granted, other stuff was nice, but that was like perfect. I could have laid there for 15 hours, 20 hours maybe without eating, right? It's this is why it's a topic that's so interesting to me because it is something that is counterproductive to our own survival. Because I would have gone without food. I would
Mm.
have gone without sleep. I would have gone without water. I would have gone without everything just to stay in that moment. And that seems very stupid.
Way back in one of our earliest sexy time relationship videos, I brought up what I still think is the best premarital advice I'd ever heard. And you said, "Oh, that's really good. Where'd you hear that?" I said, "Dummy, that was told to you by the preacher on your first day of premarital counseling for your no wonder it was your first marriage because you weren't paying attention."
Yeah,
But
I'm not so good at that whole thing, I
it's
guess.
it's extra funny to me
Don't
because
tell
it's
don't tell the new girl
yeah.
because we're
It,
still
it yeah, but live and learn, gain some wisdom.
third time's a
Hopefully,
charm.
yeah, third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Um Southern Baptist preacher saying these words to me just makes it even funnier, but also points out how right he is because I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I don't care if there's pearl clutching because you hear the preacher say these words because it's that important. And I was going to say this at that wedding when we were talking to the newly engaged couple, and I start getting elbowed. No, no, because I don't know if she knew exactly what I was going to say, but she knew what I was going to say, which was the preacher told you the thing you two need to understand going into this is he or she pointing to you, she is going to need your time.
Mm. Oh yeah, I remember this talk. Yeah.
Your fiance, he is going to need your body. What was he saying? This is how you demonstrate. This is how you show, don't tell that you love each other. You give her your time. You provide and protect. You are there for her when she needs you, for whatever it is that she needs, when she needs it. And then he needs that physical intimacy to know that you're still connected.
Mhm. And it sounds so shallow. It does. It really does. I understand the argument. It does sound very shallow. But so does, did you buy me that Louis Vuitton bag? Or,
I
you
wasn't
know,
even going to go there. I was okay.
yeah, I did do two extremes because I mean the sexuality is
But
the extreme of the contact, right?
but from the
Yeah.
male side, you just want me to stand here while you rant and vent because you had a
Mhm.
rough day at work. You can vent and rant at the dog.
Mhm.
It's so from the male perspective that all what the female needs because we're different because we need different things. You look at that and think, well, that's kind of shallow. You just want me to check boxes for you? I mean, I'll
Mhm.
get it done. Okay, fine. We're doers. I'll check the boxes, but
Well, and that's another
okay.
that's another bring modern society into it. That's another reason things aren't going so well is because you can get on Zoom and BetterHelp.com and vent and rant at somebody. You don't need a partner anymore. You got a therapist there for $20.
And what kind of therapy are they giving you? That
Letting
again,
you vent and rant. It's
back,
talk therapy. It's called BetterHelp Talk Therapy.
yep.
It is
Back to targeted ads, back to
yeah.
dating apps. Is this should be a great thing. This should be a golden age for mental health because it's right at your fingertips,
But,
except
but we're getting worse because we're not connecting.
you
Yeah.
don't actually get mental health, you get affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you really want is you want affirmation. And again, back to the double standard, there is a very large growing rejection of the manosphere in pop culture. I didn't watch it, but you watched Adolescence. It was a
Mm-hmm.
big effing deal. It
Mm-hmm.
caused a big conversation.
Fantastic show, but message was off. Yeah. Yeah.
And because people are recognizing, but bringing up Dr. K again, no one is saying why. No one is asking these young boys why. Why do you like this guy? Why do you listen? What is it about this person that they're saying that speaks to you, that appeals to you? All that is happening is no, you're wrong. That's wrong. That's bad. You're a bad person. You're toxically male. But why? Why don't you ask why?
Yeah.
And
Well, and this is where the I have the benefit of negative uh influences, negative role models. I know what toxically male is. That was my stepfather.
you know,
I know what toxically male is. And what they're calling toxically male now is not it. Not even close.
okay. So
Yeah.
I've got a clip here that I just kind of he doesn't usually talk about this stuff, but I found the analogy very interesting and insightful. This is a channel called Council of Trent. He's a Catholic apologist, so he's mostly talking theological stuff, or when he talks pop culture stuff that's in the news, it's from a theological bent. Um, but this so start this from the beginning, and I want to watch the first like 2-ish minutes.
All the way from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
need
there
to
we go.
click. Okay, so just go ahead and play it, and then at any point, if you want to pause it, I kind of want to ambush you and get your raw thoughts on this.
Okay, cool.
Recently, I watched a Netflix documentary hosted by Louis Theroux about the manosphere, a loose collection of influencers who promise to help young men escape the matrix and get lots of money and girls.
For a small fee.
Well, while watching the documentary, I noticed an uncanny similarity between red pill manosphere influencers and the OnlyFans women they both insult and often monetize. What is that similarity? Both of them do not subscribe to the Council of Trent. So if you want to be the opposite of these people,
That's a
hit
pro
the subscribe
YouTuber move
button
there.
so you
We
don't
need to
miss
get
out
better
on
at
all.
What was that?
I said that's a pro YouTuber move there. We need to learn how to do that.
Yeah, like and
Seamless,
subscribe
man.
if you made it this far.
Seamless.
our great content. And you can help us share the good news of the gospel and help people escape the true matrix, the flesh and the devil, by supporting us at TrentHornPodcast.com. Second, and more importantly, what the manosphere and OnlyFans women have in common is that they use fantasies to prey on vulnerable young men. OnlyFans women prey on young men who desire not just sex, but
hold on. Yeah.
Okay, because
Oof,
this is
that hurt. Yeah.
So you, because what made me think, oh, here's the time for this clip, is you were talking about escapism. Is, the guy's going to go somewhere else. Okay, well, part of the problem is he can go somewhere else that's not real, or maybe he starts there, before he even gets a girl. That's my concern with teenage boys watching this crap, is you're going to set yourself up for failure before you ever even have a chance to try and get to know a real life human female, because you have these fake outlets.
sexual intimacy. In a world of nearly unlimited free online explicit material, OnlyFans thrives because users end up in a parasocial, one-sided relationship with these pornographers that create the illusion of an intimate sexual relationship. In fact, about 90% of male users on OnlyFans are married, and so many of them see OnlyFans as an escape from what they consider to be an unfulfilling relationship. In contrast, many of the manosphere's audience.
What was Dr. So's data on? Was it like, it was 40 something? I think it was close to 50%. I want to say it was 48%.
I think it was 48. Yeah.
Of married couples had not had sex in the last year. And so that was the first thing to pop in my mind when he gave those statistics of the percentage of OnlyFans customers who are married men. I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that's what Sexton was talking about. You treat me worse than we treat the dog, and I'm your husband.
Yep, and some dude on the other end of the OnlyFans account is texting you, "Oh, I'm so into you," while there's pictures of the girl, and yeah.
Members tend to be unmarried men who see this as an escape or tutorial for navigating an unfulfilling life. In fact, a recent study found that 42% of all young men between the ages of 18 and 29 think, quote, "All in all, I am inclined to think I'm a failure." Although among men who are married with children.
Ouch.
Oof.
Yep. We both have a son, so that's depressing.
Yeah.
Separately, we don't have a son together. We don't have that kind of
No. That's not physically possible, but
How dare you?
Only 26% of those men think they're failures. Now, to be fair, many of these young men have legitimate grievances towards society's persistent anti-male bias and today's unique hardships. Getting a job, for example, isn't just about walking up to the factory owner and betting on a firm handshake to seal the deal. Now it's about using AI to code your resume so it will get past AI filters, hoping that a real person will see it. And you're also...
Oh my gosh. Okay, we got to get out of this. Okay, yeah. Oh.
That reminded me of something you mentioned a while back of seeing like academic writing of the problem. The dating apps are getting even worse because so many people are using an AI large language model to write their profile, which was bad enough, but now they're also using it to text with if they do get a match. Then what happens when you actually meet in real life?
Exactly. Well, no, that's actually what the problem is that you finally do meet in real life and there's no conversation. It's
this is why I'm so concerned about this male-female double standard. Is outside of the few voices we have found, female voices we have found with, and I think you can include Dr. So, who as I've said, as she said, is she was part of the sex positivity movement, and then she realized, oh, a lot of this stuff isn't positive, it is actually negative to your mental health, and now the sex positive movement has all been out of shape, and how dare you? It's like, well, I thought we wanted positive outcomes here.
Yeah, well, and I think this is the difference between your argument and mine in this conversation, even though we're not arguing, we're talking, but is I am part of the sex positive movement. I just think we need to be aware of the side effects, you know, not just STDs and all that stuff. I think
Yeah.
you need to be aware of the fact that, you know what, if your body count is high, you're going to have trouble. Uh, but also, if it is and you're lying about it, you're going to have more trouble. So we need to be honest about it and say, okay, we're in a different time. And then when you get into a relationship, and this is the second half of that, this is where the sexting part comes in. You can't be like, oh, I put that behind me and then cut that person off. Because they probably, if they knew about what you were doing, they probably wanted that from you. Like, hey, you know what? I want a high energy woman. I want a high libido woman. You can't just turn it off.
Mhm.
You have the spigot open for everybody else and then turn it off for the person you decide to settle down with. What the hell is that all about? Right? Because yeah, okay, so I knew this. I knew what I signed up for, but then I didn't get what I signed up for. Why?
Yeah. And
Why?
I
There,
think you can add into the Sexton clip there where he was talking about every TV show, the
Mhm.
wife is rolling her eyes and it's, oh, this husband is a complete
There is
moron.
a
And
there's a complete
like,
lack of respect in relationships going both ways right now.
so
Complete lack of respect.
I think that creates like I said earlier, this is why stories are important. It creates the baseline expectation. And then you add to that, I think I've said this before, is, you know, son, you don't want to get a sex talk from your father, but I will give you one bit of advice. Now that you are married, if anyone ever tells you one of those hacky, canned, stereotypical jokes about, well, I guess we wouldn't know about that, talking about sex because we're married, you should be able to look them dead in the eye and say, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Now, that being said, I think that adds to that baseline expectation of, oh, well, once you reach this point in a relationship, sex isn't as important. No, no, it is still important. I think the origination for those kind of jokes is the simple fact that no, once you start having a family, life gets busy and you're probably going to have less sex than you used to, not because you're not as in love, but because you're just too busy. It it shouldn't be. And in fact, if you feel yourself falling out of love, you need to go, oh, time out. We gotta, oh, it has been way too long since we have been intimate. We need a staycation. We need to get away. We need to, you know, the sex doctors have talked about if you need to schedule it because it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
important.
Well, that's yes. The Marianne Brandon and Laura Howe both have talked about that.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're not into it in the beginning, but you start and you get into it. And but that I will put a caveat on that. I hate to do land acknowledgments and stuff, but uh, that has to be your choice. So if you're the female, typically lower libido person, that has to be your choice. But also make it a choice sometimes, you know. And I think where we get into the problem is where the guy gets like basically bitchy and demanding and says, "No, you got to do this," and you might get into it, and it doesn't work that way. It has to be your choice to say, "I'm not into it right now, but I might get into it if we
Ca-
start."
Caveat to that being okay. So what you're talking about, and Laura Howe makes this point all the time as her disclaimer is, I am talking about if you are in a healthy, loving relationship and your man is doing what he needs to for you, then you need to understand you need to do what he needs, and what he needs is physical intimacy. Well, this goes to her point about do all these things to all day for the all day floor foreplay is this giant checklist. But then something happens and I'm not in the mood anymore. Of, well, hold on a second. you know this is back to the sex doctors, and some other people have made this point of, then get yourself back in the mood. Is You know yourself. What does it take? And to your point, you should want to if he's doing his part.
Well, and that's the to circle all of this back, the double standard.
Yep.
If you're forcing him to do his part, you should be trying at least to do your part. Maybe it doesn't work every time. Maybe you tried to get yourself in the mood and it just didn't work and he's left out. Fine, whatever. But that
But
should be the
if it's
exception to the
happening
rule.
day
Yeah.
after day after day after day, he's going to get burnt out and he's going to check out and he's going to stop doing those things because why? I mean, I'm tired, man.
Hmm.
It's like
And realistically, uh, and I'm going to say this is both. This is both directions. This is male female because I think it was episode 60 something where we went over the numbers on male and female infidelity and how they're actually more equal than people think. If you're not doing that part, whether it's the household chores or it's the sex, eventually someone's going to come along that proposes they do that part. And then are you going to be surprised that they're like, oh, wow, that was nice? Even if they don't partake, they might not partake, but that's going to strain the relationship more because they're going to be like, wow, that person offered me that thing that you're not giving me that thing. And then we have more tension, which is going to actually snowball the process of not doing the things that, again, talked about venting, you know. One of the things that strained was because the intimacy wasn't there. It was hard to be there personally for the other person, right? And so it just became a snowball that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it went down the hill.
just I used this analogy a few times the last few weeks. It's just like if you have a friendship that is completely one-sided, that friendship's not going to last. If you're always the one, hey man, I need you to help me move a couch. Hey man, can you come watch my dog? Hey man, can you? And they're never there for you when you need it. You're going to be like, sorry, can't. Next time
Yeah,
they want you
yeah,
to do
yeah,
something, sorry,
yeah.
can't.
I like that you brought it to a friendship to make it a little less controversial. But yeah, no, you're right. If I'm the one helping you move all the time, I am that friend, actually. I actually take pride in being that friend. Uh, but yeah, eventually, if I called on you once or twice and you didn't come through for me, it's going to be like, well, shit. Now I'm
It,
going to have now I'm going to have an excuse next time.
Exactly. These ideas should not be strange or controversial because if you take them out of the context of
The
a
taboo.
romantic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
relationship, then you would instantly go, "Oh no, yeah, I get that. That makes sense." It's something that I thought of when we were talking about the guy checking out because he keeps checking the boxes and not getting anything for it. That should make perfect sense to anyone who's ever worked a job.
Hmm.
If you are taking on extra work, if you're doing the overtime, if you're taking the crap shifts, and then you never get recognition, then someone else gets promoted, you're like, screw this. What's the point? You are going to check out from that job and you're going to start phoning it in, if not straight up quit.
Hmm. You're gonna be the person that only takes a crap on company time,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
If it makes sense, if it's understandable in that context, then you should absolutely understand the context of an intimate relationship. It's the same principle. And I think where the double standard um is being reinforced, like I said, at least there's this growing voice, online. Oh, chunky boy.
yeah.
Of
This is Chunk, by the way, for those that haven't met him. Yep.
Yeah, yep. So there's this growing voice for guys, you do better, and this is how you do better. But I don't know because I'm not in that space of where is that for women, because I think the problem the
Sorry,
the
that was for the dogs.
the women are getting this, you know, having this double standard, this expectations reinforced with the um I mean, you mentioned it earlier of a, you don't need that negativity in your life. You go, girl, slay queen. The stop getting your mental health advice from Instagram, but there it is, you know, oh my gosh, I don't remember what it's called, but Sacha Baron Cohen, who is a so-called comedian,
Hmm.
has he's got a new movie out, and I saw the trailer because the Nerdrotic guys were reacting to it, and I'm like, and they
Is
said
that the
what
one
I
where he
was.
became a superhero?
No, no, no. It's like
Uh,
he hits his head and suddenly he wakes up in a world where women are all in charge. And I'm like, and we've been talking about the great feminization theory for months now, and the data is there of what world are you living in? What year do
hmm
you think it is? That that boardroom, there's this scene where he's being snarky to a woman because, she spoke up at a meeting. And I'm like, that is literally the inverse. The data says that room flipped the numbers of males and females because that's the data right now. So what world do you think this is? And yet you are reinforcing to women, yeah, you live in a man's world and the men are out to get you.
Oh,
What
it's
is
so
that
okay.
going to do to
So
their mentality?
I gave a red flag for everybody like 5 episodes ago, which was dogs are better than people. That one. Here's another red flag. If you're ever on a date with a girl, just a girl living in a man's world. If you hear those words,
Mm-hmm.
that at just put your check down, put your cash down, pay for the dinner, and walk out. That's that's going to be problems later.
Oh yeah.
Used to be true 50 years ago. I mean, even 30 years ago. But right now, no, it's flipped. If you take Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos out of the equation, the old 70% of income is gone. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely gone. If you take those two people out of the equation, yes, two men are the richest people on the earth, and whatever the Saudi Arabian guy is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those three men are the richest people on earth. But if you take them out of the equation, the average person, there are more homeless men. We want to talk about men, homelessness, right? So like what, 80%, 85%, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them former military. So they had a job and they got effed up by that job.
They had a job, they had purpose, they had connection, and then it all went
Mhm.
away and they fell apart.
And they went into substance abuse and now they're homeless and crazy. It is what it is, but on the ends of the bell curve, yes, we overrepresent. So if you want to talk the richest people in the world, yes, we do overrepresent. But in the middle where most of us live, because I mean, I'm not the richest person in the world. Are you? I mean, I'm asking for a friend. We're in the middle of the bell curve, right? We're a much flatter curve. So evolution's playthings. That's men.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, XY chromosome. That's actually the truth.
All right. Let's wrap it up
Yeah,
here.
let's wrap it up. Yeah.
Um, my main point, the reason we're ranting about the and trying not to make this a oh girls suck because it matters. It is
I like
we
when girls suck.
hey
Hey,
uh
hey. Sorry, mom. God, I keep forgetting my mom listens to this.
you
Luckily, she's
um
cool, but
um yeah, mom, check out Council of Trent. I think you would like it because, like I said, he's a Catholic apologist and he has some interesting stuff theologically. Not only do I have a son, I have a daughter as well. Okay. And even
yeah.
if you don't, you should still have that instinctual urge of protection and providing. And part of that is you want to see them live healthy, fulfilled lives. And we are not doing that. The mental health crisis is not one-sided. It is
Mhm.
boys and girls, and we are not addressing it. We are sedating it. I love that term that Williamson used, and I'm going to keep using that because it is for anyone who has been in pain, and I have been in chronic pain for over 20 years. It You understand the appeal
Mhm.
Because when you are physically hurting, even when you know the side effects of that drug, you're like, yeah, but then it won't hurt.
Yeah. Well, and people tell when we talk about alcohol because people are concerned when I fall off the wagon and come back on the wagon and fall off the wagon and everything. And I say, numb's better than bad. Numb is better than bad.
Mhm.
And yeah, and that's the truth. That's exactly why it exists. That's
But it
why
is,
I think humans have actually gravitated towards it because we
mhm.
have so much capacity to feel. We're not animals. Zebras don't get ulcers, the Sapolsky book, right? We have the capacity to know that we're going to die one day. We have the capacity to have anxiety. Animals don't have much anxiety. Some, I mean, dogs a little bit, the higher order ones, but we have the capacity for extreme amounts of it. And numb is better than bad.
Mhm.
And we are the also the animal that goes to substances for that.
But of course, like what Trent was saying about that interesting parallel between the Manosphere and OnlyFans is that's that's fake.
Hmm.
It's not real. That numbness isn't happiness, and it's not going to last. And you're going to come out on the other side feeling worse and needing more sedation than you did last time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and that is not good for anyone. Male, female, young, old, middle. It's not good. And if we don't honestly assess what's wrong, we can't fix it.
Hmm.
And
Well,
right now we're really only heavily criticizing one side, and
yeah,
that's not healthy.
and actually that's I didn't know we were going this direction, and we'll close out here. I put happiness hypothesis behind me, which is Jonathan Haidt. If we want to be happy till we die, just shoot up heroin. You'll be freaking happy till you die.
And it won't take long to get
It
there.
won't, and it won't take long to get there. So the whole point of that book is for true healthy happiness, you got to work your ass off for it.
Mm, yeah.
And that includes, things like meditation but in the relationship context like we're talking about here, if you want a happy, healthy relationship, you got to put some work in. And there are things that we have as a society that we're not allowed to talk about putting the work in. Now, if you're like one of those influencers that we've talked about, the Laura Howe or whatever, you're allowed to talk about it because your following is like 98% male,
Mm,
because she's like, hey, girls should do this. But is she making a difference?
I hope
Not,
so.
I hope so, but not if her following is all male
Hmm.
because she's preaching to the choir. And
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, we're probably preaching to the choir too. I don't know what our breakup is as far as I'll have to look to see if YouTube breaks that down for us. But yeah, no, it's if you are following this and you got this far, obviously you're following it. Have a converse. Don't even like share us. Just I'm gonna be not selfish for a second. Just have a conversation with somebody of the opposite sex and bring up some of the things we talked about it in a way that is like, hey, what do you think about this? I heard someone say this and see what they say. Just kind of get the message out there because it
Yeah.
is a one-sided conversation right now. And I think all the influencers out there that are talking about it are preaching to the choir, and I don't want to do that. I want to actually make a difference, even if it's with two people.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if it's
That's
with two people.
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
I'm going to end on that because I mean, I could talk about this all day long, but
all right. Well,
yeah.
speaking of, we have something we touched on, but we really didn't go down this rabbit hole, so we'll save it for next time of intrasex competition amongst females.
Well, okay, so let me plug that real quick
Mhm.
because of what we talked about today. A lot of this you go girl stuff is intersex competition
Mhm.
because the people who are doing it aren't living that.
Yeah.
They are getting you out of the dating pool. is what they're doing because it's the end result is you're undateable
Yep.
and they want the high quality males.
And
So
that's that affirmation that I was criticizing
mhm,
earlier, that's coming from your fellow females.
mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
it's not healthy, it's not good advice.
What is the biggest one? Call Me Daddy? Is that the one? The one who interviewed Kamala Harris.
It rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, she secretly behind the scenes got engaged and married and all kinds of stuff, even though she's spreading the
Uh,
you shouldn't do that, the patriarchy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no, the body positivity movement, yeah, go ahead and get fat while I'm not getting fat.
mhm.
Hmm.
No, you're perfect just the way you
You're
are.
perfect just the way you are. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this fits directly into that the conversation we just had because they're eliminating you from their competition. And that is a very feminine trait because men sprint against each other, women trip each other.
Mm. No,
Like,
so this is not this is not a subject matter I know very much about. So I mean, this isn't you just giving your opinion either. This
no,
is
there's a lot of
data
data
driven.
behind this. Yeah, this is very highly studied. Yes.
Yeah, and so we'll go down that rabbit hole next time.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Sorry to end on a negative note. We were doing so good for a little bit. But like, subscribe, or again, have that conversation with just a friend. If you change one life, everything we just talked about, everything every all 460 or so episodes is worth it.